Hello and welcome to Spyhards podcast, where your hosts go deep undercover into the world of spy movies to decipher which films make the knock list. But remember, this information is strictly for your ears only. I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur, pushing it real good.
Boy, you are. You're in age, though, right?
Yeah. And just in terms of testing people's patience.
I mean, this film tested a lot of patience, I think.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Spoiler.
To be fair, I'm referring to the reviews of this film that are online.
Okay. Oh, that's true. Yeah, in terms of the critical community, yes, you are correct.
But I think before we get to the film, what's new with you, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing swell. I'm here to talk about a Netflix release, and I think if we learned anything over the years of working on this Spyhards podcast, it's that Netflix spy films are always a cause for celebration.
Let's break that statement down. Working on this Spyhards podcast, you make it sound like a coal mine.
Well, sometimes.
To be fair, I know you spend like hours cranking out editing every week. Maybe it does feel like a task for you.
Can you wrap this review up faster? I have an episode to edit.
So no wasted time on this episode. We need to get right to the action.
Let's get to the knock list right now.
Okay.
I haven't even named the movie, but we're going to the knock list.
Screw it. Let's do it. But streaming spy films, I suppose. Netflix ones specifically for this,
Yeah.
but there have been like Amazon Prime ones and stuff as well.
Yeah, we had what? Ghosted and what was the one Without Remorse? Those were both. Maybe one was Apple and one was Amazon. I don't remember.
Apple was Ghosted.
That's right, and I think maybe Without Remorse was Amazon.
But we've had like Heart of Stone. We've had Grey Man.
Those are all Netflix, though. Yeah.
I'm just talking like other streaming spy movies that have come out. Like, there's been a lot, and I think we've had a pretty rough showing with them so far.
Yeah, and we had The Union most recently, and another one.
Thank you for proving my point. Yeah.
Another one you might have forgotten, which was Netflix, which was Spy Kids 5.
I actually sought therapy to forget about that one, so thank you for bringing it back. You're reawakening my trauma.
Yeah, it's just become an interesting thing, and I think like maybe the success of these movies coming from streaming networks is
the way you said movies. these movies
is perhaps fanning the fear of the Bond purchase with Amazon.
Very timely comment. Well made.
Thank you.
It is. It's an interesting quandary because, like, I can see the attraction for financiers for a film like this that we're going to talk about, and the ones we just mentioned as well, because a lot of the spy tropes are easy to identify, and you can kind of do a paint-by-numbers spy story pretty easily.
And a clothesline for action scenes, and action scenes translate very well because you don't have to explain a whole lot to watch, a car chase.
And you can also be folding your laundry whilst watching a car chase.
Yeah, exactly. I actually heard, this is related to that.
I hope so.
It was a critic recently was talking on a podcast about how Netflix is now enforcing with their writers.
Oh, yes, I know about this.
Yeah, basically when you are relaying exposition, make it all spoken and clear because the audience isn't watching the screen.
I'll ask this as an honest question to you.
Yeah.
When you're watching a film at home, it's different at the theater, obviously, in the cinema, because your attention is pulled into the screen. Do you ever find yourself checking your phone when you're watching films for this show?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Do you have a policy in your house of putting your phone away, or how do you deal with that?
I will. Okay, probably one of two things. I will either throw the phone to the other end of the couch, so it's not even within arm's reach. And then I will just watch the movie. And plus, I'm taking notes through the movie as well. So it's a little hard to be juggling notes in my phone at the same time. But then second of all, say there was something going on, some sort of event or something that maybe there's a lot of talk about online, and I'm still watching a movie, I might pause the movie and check my phone.
Well, yeah, that's about the same for me. But I think for both of us, we want to review it. I wonder how the average sort of Spy Hard listener deals with it. Like,
Sure.
do you use second screen? I'd be curious to hear. Like, is it something that is just the usual for you? Because even when I'm watching films, not even for the show, just for my own viewing pleasure, I do tend to put my phone away.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen people, like friends or something, when we do like a group movie, maybe someone does have their phone out the whole time, but they are very clearly not watching the movie. Like their attention is on the phone.
Yeah, which is fine, I guess, if it's a choice. It's not interfering with anyone else's viewing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. And, part of this film was watched with my wife here, and she was definitely on her phone.
Yeah, and so she's probably doesn't care about the movie. She's just, like, it's more like the movie's there, she's sitting with you, but she's focused on her phone.
Yeah, which is absolutely fine. It's just weird to design films for the person on the phone.
It's like, we don't want to make movies that actually hold your attention. We need to basically just accept that you don't want to watch us, so we need to convey things over the noise of the phone in front of you.
Well, I guess it's kind of like the modern day radio.
Yeah.
Because radio would, when they talk about ratings, they would point out how many people would listen to a certain show or a certain hour or a certain segment. But they don't know who's actually listening to it. They just know who has it on.
Right. That's the thing with Netflix, is like they count views. A lot of streaming networks all just count views. And so, like, the thing is, like, a movie like the one we're going to discuss, today, or some of the ones that I've named, or that we both named earlier, these movies would not do well in theaters. And they're basically just there to be something that's streamed, but they are very clearly not confident in the package, because they are like, you know what? People aren't going to be watching it anyway.
It's just interesting because we often get asked, like, what are your download numbers? What are your streaming numbers and stuff? And, like, I'm pretty proud of the amount of people that we reach out to and listen to us every week. Listen to Bond episodes more, but that's another story. I'm happy with that, but I could also, like, completely fudge the numbers. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say X amount of people have listened to us according to our website. I have no idea if people have listened to us all the way through. I have no idea if people have actually listened to us whilst listening to us, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and I know we're going off on a tangent before even getting to the film. It's just an interesting state of affairs that we find ourselves in nowadays when it comes to streaming content and that word content, where it's more about, like, having people consume it, but are they actually consuming it?
Do they enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do they like what they're watching? Who knows?
Like, who is this for? And that's a question we're going to answer right now. Cam, let's get to the review. All right, let's talk about this streaming film. Cam, what have you got for us?
We are tackling 2025's Back in Action, starring Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz, coming back from a long hiatus.
Cameron Diaz?
Yes, Cameron Diaz.
Diaz? You really added the emphasis on the A there. That's okay. Is it Jamie Foxx? And,
it is now.
Back in action! Well, please keep up the Diaz for the rest of the episode. That's your mission, should you choose to accept it. And if you haven't ventured onto Netflix, although this came out a few weeks ago at time of recording, or a couple of months ago, I think now.
Yeah.
Here is your synopsis. And comparing to an episode we recorded recently where it was like reams and reams of like exposition within the letterbox synopsis, this is quite the opposite.
Oh, okay. Like a single sentence kind of thing.
I think it is one single sentence, yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
Back in action. They're living their best lies. That's the kind of comedy you could expect. 15 years after vanishing from the CIA to start a family, elite spies Matt and Emily jump back into the world of espionage when their cover is blown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's how it was pitched in a room. Yeah.
That is literally the elevator pitch. That is the amount of time between floors.
I actually know the elevator pitch for this movie, so I'll get to that in a few moments, but
Okay.
It's about as imaginative.
Did you watch this when it came out, or have you just sort of saved it for now?
Oh, I saved it and savored the anticipation.
Diaz.
No, I did not watch it when it was initially released, but I did push for us to review it quickly because, as is the case with so many of these streaming movies, they just kind of vanish into a void at a certain point. So I wanted us to talk about it while, listeners would be catching up with it.
You could say you didn't want us to slack in action.
Sure, I didn't want this movie to be ghosted by the world like Ghosted was.
I'm trying to think of puns. I haven't got any. Nor did this film. Well, it is interesting because I just spoke about download numbers a moment ago, but you look at some of the download numbers on these streaming films, and it is night and day, if you pardon the Diaz pun, compared to other films that came out. Even films that have come out in the cinema in the last 5 years, say like No Time to Die, which I admit is a Bond film. But or what was the Mission Impossible film that came out? I forget the name of it now.
Not Dead Reckoning Part 1?
Dead Reckoning Part 1. Like, much stronger numbers than, say, Ghosted or Heart of Stone.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the numbers for this movie were very big. It was 46.8 million views in the first 3 days. So, like, a lot of people, clicked play on this, likely because they saw a picture of Jamie Foxx or Cameron Diaz on their screen, and that was enough for them. And, it's like them holding a gun or something. It has an action or spy element that's just very easily marketed to people. But, like, this was the biggest opening weekend for an English-language Netflix film since the 2022 Ryan Reynolds sci-fi comedy, The Adam Project.
What the heck is that?
You don't remember that, do you?
No.
I don't either. I mean, I remember the name as soon as I read that, I went, oh, like that came out shortly after the Tomorrow War, that really bad Chris Pratt sci-fi film. And
I remember that. That film.
Yeah, but I never watched The Adam Project. I think it was directed by the Sean Levy, who directed Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, it's actually got quite a good cast too.
Yeah, a lot of these movies do.
Zoe Saldana, Jennifer Garner, Mark Ruffalo, like, this is some big names, and I've never even seen the poster for this film.
I mean, it was a thing on Netflix, clearly, that was very popular.
Sure. It does go to show that sort of like streaming vault thing that happens where if it's not on the front page, you just don't know it exists anymore.
Yeah, it has no legacy.
No.
Like, you just do not hear people talk about, when they talk about, say, modern sci-fi films, no one ever mentions The Adam Project.
No. I think the only thing they've had in terms of films that have stood the test of time in the last few years was like that Sandra Bullock.
Oh, Bird Box.
Like Bird Box, that was it. Like, that sort of, I think, penetrated pop culture.
Sure, and some of their, like, prestige films, like The Irishman or Roma, which were picked up by Criterion shortly after and presented.
Sure.
So, like, those movies have a life to them. But when it comes to more of the genre-based stuff, a few and far between.
And, like, people don't talk about The Union, which is, I think, fair enough. But some of the other films have had some pedigree behind them. Like The Grey Man had a great cast again.
Yeah.
And had the Russos behind it, who have quite the following. Like, it should have maybe not penetrated the zeitgeist, but like it should have had some sort of a legacy, which it just hasn't had.
No, it just kind of vanished completely. And there was the greenlit 3 sequels or something like that to The Gray Man that have never happened and probably never will. But that was the same case with Red Notice, where they announced like a Red Notice trilogy, and all quiet on the Western Front there.
They got left on red.
They did indeed.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Red was dead, and there was no redemption.
Oh, very good. Oh, very
good. Thank you.
We're writing better jokes. Okay, so we didn't have much of a backstory with this. We chose to do it sort of whilst the film was still mildly on people's screens, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, a pretty big thing happened with this film. Someone came out of retirement, so there must be some backstory here, Cam. What do you have?
There is some backstory to this one, and kind of an odd production in some ways. We'll get to the kind of those details in a second, but we should say this is kind of the brainchild of writer-director Seth Gordon, who's an Illinois-born producer-director. He occasionally writes, not a lot, but he does have a co-writing credit on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And started out doing all sorts of odd jobs. He was co-directing the 2002 short Squirt. He was working visual effects on the TV series Clone High. He was director of photography on music videos for The Chicks. He was editing and working second unit on the 2005 horror film Cry Wolf. So this guy was kind of like getting experience in all these various facets of the industry. But his big breakthrough was directing the 2007 documentary, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. Have you seen this movie, Scott?
I can't say I have, but I have a good idea as to what it's about.
It's incredible. It is an incredibly fun documentary, very, very funny, and became like a bona fide breakout documentary. And a lot of awards notices. And even if you watch the movie Pixels, the Adam Sandler big budget sci-fi kind of comedy, there's all these references to the King of Kong. Like, it actually had pop culture penetration.
Oh, I'm just looking at it now. So is it about Billy, whatever his name is? Billy Mitchell?
Yeah, Billy Mitchell and
the alleged best King Kong player in the world?
Yes, it's about him and then the guy who's aspiring to beat his record.
I see.
Yes.
Interesting guy to read about, folks. I won't speculate on Billy Mitchell. He's very litigious, but Google him.
He is a fascinating individual in this documentary. Like, incredible.
That does not surprise me from the videos I've seen.
Yes, and Peter Dinklage played a spoof of him in Pixels.
Oh, that's what that was. I never watched Pixels because Adam Sandler films after like 2005 hurt me.
Yeah, Pixels isn't very good, but it has its little nods there that I thought were very fun.
Okay.
But Seth Gordon went big time after that documentary, moving into directing fiction films versus documentaries, and became quite big in comedy. He did 2008's Four Christmases with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn. He did Horrible Bosses.
That was fun.
Yeah, I thought Horrible Bosses one was pretty fun.
Jennifer Aniston, right?
That's right. She was one of the bosses. Yeah, Chris Pine was in that movie.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day was in it. Who else was in that movie? Wasn't Christoph Waltz?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm blending it in part 2 together in my head, so I can't remember who was in which movie. I think Colin Farrell was maybe in the first one too.
The lead characters were Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis.
Yep.
The bosses in the first one, I think, were Jennifer Aniston. I can't tell who the rest are. I just can say it. Oh, maybe Donald Sutherland was in it. Colin Farrell is there. No, you're right. Colin Farrell was there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Kevin Spacey.
Oh, that's right. It was Spacey, Farrell, and Aniston in the first one. And then the second one was, I think, Christoph Waltz and Chris Pine.
Okay.
It became 2 of them. But Seth Gordon did not direct the sequel. He just did the first Horrible Bosses. He also did Identity Thief with Jason Bateman and Melissa McCarthy, which was not regarded as one of the better Melissa McCarthy films. He also directed Baywatch, starring The Rock.
That was him?
It was him.
Oof, that film.
Uh-huh. And he also did a whole bunch of TV, episodes of For All Mankind, The Night Agent, and it was working in TV that led into Back in Action. But someone who's like very prominent in the world of theatrical comedy films, and Horrible Bosses aside, I don't like any of them.
Nope. Me either.
Yeah. So basically, the pitch for this movie was, what if Jason Bourne had a kid? Yeah.
Heavy breathing you can hear is me losing the will to live, everyone.
That was basically it. I heard...
You then go like, yes, and to that. And you add other ideas and flesh it out instead of going, no, that's it.
I saw other interviews where he didn't mention Bourne. He referenced Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But is that like
really?
A thing?
Really?
Is that a thing, though? Like, is that a novelty? I don't know. Wasn't Spy Kids basically that?
Which bit? Jason Bourne having a kid?
What if spies had kids?
Well, this film is taking from a lot of sources.
I know. It's just funny that pitch felt like such a such a moment of ingenuity for him that it inspired him to co-write this film.
Well, the entirely insane thing about this whole concept of it being about the kids is this film takes great efforts to not develop or talk about the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. That's kind of strange that, like, the kid aspect was such a push.
If that's, like, the starting point, like, that was like, oh, well, the kids of spies, let's develop that idea. Because that is Spy Kids, though, you're right. Because the Cortez family opens with Carla Gugino and, I'm forgetting his name.
Antonio
Banderas getting married and meeting on the mission and stuff, and then it's about their family and their family life getting intertwined with the Floop people. Like, that is basically this film. Wow, it is.
Yeah, and in one of the interviews, Seth Gordon said he just imagined Jason Bourne carrying a Bjorn with a baby in it. But I'm like, there's no babies in this movie.
Right.
Very curious.
I'm getting, like, the idea of where the seed grew from.
Sure.
With this film. I wonder if it's a case of too many Netflix cooks in the kitchen.
I don't know about that.
Like, it got distorted. It ceased to be his vision.
It has 2 writers and no one else. I don't think so. I think this is a project that they got to make. Netflix is not known for imposing their will on the creators.
Okay.
So the co-writer on this film was Brendan O'Brien, who started out just kind of doing assistant jobs, actually. Mm-hmm. Notably, he worked with a producer named Shauna Robertson on 2005's 40-Year-Old Virgin. And, of course, that movie's directed by Judd Apatow. And then Brendan O'Brien co-writes a short in 2006 called American Storage, and then works with Judd Apatow after that. He co-produces 2009's Funny People. He co-writes a Judd Apatow-produced short called Acting with James Franco. And then he has his big break, which is co-writing both Neighbors films, as well as some other comedies like Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, and more recently, The House with Will Ferrell. And he had a story credit on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Is that the one we saw in Vegas this past year?
It was, yeah, that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg wrote.
That was fun.
It was, yeah. Yeah, so, like, this guy's very much in the kind of Apatow camp.
Just for my taste, the only Brendan O'Brien I'm a fan of is the record producer.
That was his name, right? I was like, when I read the name of the writer, I was like, wait a second, isn't that the guy that produced the Korn album Issues?
He is. He also did. I mean, I could list some of the big ones he's done. Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic by Chili Peppers. Temple of the Dog by Temple of the Dog. He did 10 by Pearl Jam. Actually, most of the first few Pearl Jam albums. Vitalogy versus No Code. Evil Empire for Rage Against the Machine. Super Unknown, Soundgarden. Chocolate Starfish, Hot Dog Flavor Water by Limp Bizkit. Like, the sound of our youth is Brendan O'Brien.
It has nothing to do with this individual other than the name.
But it brings far more smiles to the face than this film does, right?
Yes. And I was definitely thinking about maybe the lyrics of a Korn song perhaps falling away from me while watching this movie.
Which section would you care to recite for us?
Beating me down. beating me down into the ground. And then this was Cameron Diaz's return to film.
Why?
Since getting married to Benji Madden and having a daughter, she's been basically out of the spotlight since the movie Annie in 2014.
With Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, and they'd worked together on Any Given Sunday as well, back in 1999. And so, this is how this happened. Jamie Foxx shares an agent with Cameron Diaz, in addition to obviously knowing her from, working with her in the past. But he enticed her to join the project. Seth Gordon really didn't have anything to do with this, other than being like, that would be great if we could get her. Mm-hmm. But the idea of booking Cameron Diaz did not seem like a likelihood at this point in time. But Jamie Foxx approached her and said, do you want to have some fun? Just have some fun?
Is he offering her Molly or something?
Jamie Foxx likes to party, so who knows? But
allegedly.
Jamie Foxx has talked about partying a lot, and there's photos and everything like that. That's kind of been his shtick for a while.
Okay.
But the guy's always talking about how he's an incredible
Just remember, Cam Smith is a Canadian, Scott Hardy is the Brit. And if you're going to send any letters, just send them to Cam, not me.
Jamie Foxx has been proud of his party throwing skills on many talk shows. So,
okay, all right.
I'm not implying any illicit, behavior. I'm just saying the guy knows how to have a good time.
There's just been some people taken down for parties recently, Cam. I don't want to get involved.
Not those kind of parties.
Okay.
From anything I've heard, he sounds like an upbeat, wonderful human being.
Okay. The fantastic Mr. Fox he is.
I am in no way casting any shade on Jamie Foxx. Clearly Cameron Diaz had a great time with him because, hey, she wanted to have fun, apparently.
She did. Cam's trying to climb back in his foxhole, but yeah.
Boy.
Well, does that work? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
So Jamie Foxx, even on a call with Cameron Diaz, brought Tom Brady into the phone call with them because he had retired and then gone back to play football, and he gave her advice for unretiring.
Well, I think the first bit of advice would be to not call it unretiring.
Well, what would you call it?
Actually, I make that joke, but what is the word?
I don't think there is a word.
Is there no word for that?
I don't think so.
D-tire?
I think I'm going to go with Tom Brady's unretiring over that one.
You do that.
So, this was like a thing that it was basically like Cameron Diaz. This was not like a cold Netflix just dropping money on Cameron Diaz and be like, "Come back, please." And she was like, "Okay, why not?" This was like friends basically being like, "We're gonna have a blast. We're probably gonna get paid a lot of money to goof around for like a few weeks. Come join this party."
And there was Molly all round.
That is not true.
Oh, sorry. Right, you alleged this earlier, so I was just checking this out. Well, it was another spy film that's like in the back of my mind. It was Ghosted. That was cast because of Friends.
Sure.
Texting. Like, you had all those weird cameos from like Avengers films, like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan just turning up for 5 minutes each because of Chris Evans just texting them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten about that. I forgot they even had cameos in that movie.
He was like, Avengers Assemble. And they're like, really? Didn't we just do that? And he's like, $sign, $sign, Apple. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that was the case here. But during the production, this is actually noteworthy. Jamie Foxx had a medical emergency that was actually kept quite mysterious. Like, no one really knew what had happened, but he was in the hospital for quite a while. So they had to use body doubles in significant chunks of the movie just because he was not available. And it was more recently learned that he'd had a stroke due to a brain bleed, and he didn't remember like weeks that it, had transpired. He couldn't walk for a while. Like, it was a very serious incident, but it was during the production of this movie that it happened.
Really can't go back to any of my jokes now, can I?
No, but speaking of jokes, I was kind of surprised when they made the joke about Jamie Foxx in this movie having CTE. I think one of the kids says that, and I was like, I'm sure they shot that before he had these incidents. I'm sure they shot this before they had the problem happen, but it was kind of surprising they kept it in.
Well, I didn't know that until you just told me. So now it's weird, but I had no idea about any of this until you just said.
Yeah, it was pretty big news at the time, actually, because people really didn't know what was going on with him, and it made a lot of big news because they were like, Jamie Foxx is removed from public life effectively now.
How long was he out for?
It was a few weeks.
Okay. Well, I wish him all the best.
Yeah, he seems to have recovered. So I think he's doing just fine now. But there was a period where it was a real is Jamie Foxx okay kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I can't say I noticed the stand-ins.
No, I actually didn't either, and I was looking for them because I knew this had happened, and then when I saw that note in advance of watching the movie, I was like, oh, okay, how obvious is this going to be? I think they actually did a very, very good job, better than some movies we've seen where actors were present for the course of filming.
Back to you, Ghosted.
But even some of the action movies we watch where they will throw in doubles, sometimes it's really jarring. I gotta say, if they were using doubles for action scenes here with Jamie Foxx, it was not glaring.
I mean, there were some scenes that were clearly doubles when they were doing quite well choreographed scenes that I don't think Cameron Diaz nor Jamie Foxx could achieve at their age. That clearly not them. But other than that, like, I guess there was a lot of shots from behind.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But all of this is new news to me. Like, I didn't know any of this in the film, and nor did it jump out to me, and nor do I have a note about like, oh, a lot of stand-ins here. The only weird thing I noticed is there's a background sort of heavy in the film that I used to go to the gym with.
Oh, okay. Which character was that?
He's just one of the heavies that's working for one of the multiple bad guys in this film. I knew he was because he's been in a bunch of films that we've tackled. Yeah, the chap's name is Matthew Sterling. He's been in a bunch of films, including The Bourne Ultimatum. But yeah, we used to work out the same gym. He's even in the Union. So
okay.
A man of many films.
So the budget for this movie was astronomical. It was $207.2 million.
Shut the front door.
I actually paused in the recording. People at home won't have noticed because of editing, but like, I was like, this can't be right. There was apparently a massive amount of money spent on this movie, like a blockbuster level budget. And there was obviously a lot of reimbursements and rebates and whatever, but this was a very, very expensive movie.
Where the hell did that money go? How much cash was Catherine Diaz and Jamie Foxx asking for?
Well, Catherine Diaz asked for too much, which is why they had to go with Cameron Diaz, the second choice.
Of course. I heard myself say it, and thank you for not allowing me to self-edit and just calling me on it instead. Maybe that's where is it Catherine Diaz? Is that how we're confusing?
That's
this
right.
altogether?
Yes.
That's right. That's a long lost relative.
Yeah. Apparently, they had a very sizable staff on this movie, so
they'd have to.
Yeah,
they'd have to.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize that, but
well, I mean, they do shoot on location in the UK a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, America subbed in for London.
Sure.
That gas station, for instance, is not from the UK, I can tell you that.
Oh, okay.
That's a North American gas station if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But $209 million. That, I mean... Do you reckon actors are just laughing when they get a call from their agent saying Netflix wants them for a film?
I guess so.
These companies are just printing money.
Because, like, why spend that? Like, you drop $50 million on this movie, it'd probably still play great on Netflix.
The biggest screen you're going to see it on is like your 70-inch at home.
Yeah, that's nuts. But
that's too much.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the top 3 for the year because this is a Netflix release, and so that's not really relevant. And the year's not finished, so whatever I read is going to be completely wrong by the end of the year. Captain America, Brave New World is probably not going to be listed in the top 3 by the end of the year. So, yeah, there we go.
How much did Brave New World cost?
180.
That's insane.
Brave New World was cheaper than Back in Action.
Where did the money go?
That is called irresponsible spending, is what that is.
I recently learnt about the concept of, I think, amortizing. Is that the word I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Amortizing? Is that what it's called? Basically, where productions in Hollywood sink in the cost of developing the films that they make. Say, for instance, like the 1989 Batman film technically never made a profit because it had like 20 years of development of trying to make a Batman film it had to pay for, as well as paying for the film it shot.
Yeah, there was like the Bill Murray Batman movie in like I think 86 they were developing all these like various ideas that just never happened. The same was the case with Superman Returns in 2006, which came out, it did okay, and they were like, what a bomb, this movie cost a fortune. It's because they developed so many Superman movies before that.
Right, so maybe that's this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think this was just massive spending.
It's not on the screen.
No.
I was actually going to come to this film's aid originally. I had planned to be like, well, some of it looks pretty good. But for $209 million, it should look a lot better.
Well, to be fair, it was 207. The 209 would have made it look that much better.
Oh. I sit corrected.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, listeners. I've let you down. I'm off to go party with Jamie Foxx.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay. You've bowled me for 6, as the saying goes. Like
I bowled myself for 6.
Well, the number, but also like the Jamie Foxx stand-in stuff. Like this is all things I hadn't known about when I wrote my review. But I'll just go with what I thought about the film itself, because we've had such a rough run with these streaming films. I was genuinely hoping for something that might like be a bit of a palate cleanser.
We all deserve one.
We do. We pay our $12.99 a month or whatever it is we pay for Netflix. We should be getting the odd bit of good spy jinx, I think.
There should be one that comes out where we're like, oh man, wasn't that so much fun? Like
this is what they should be doing. Like point to that.
Yeah, one where people on, Blue Sky can sit there and banter back and forth about like, oh man, I really enjoyed this Netflix spy film. I'd love to see a sequel. What could they do with a sequel? Questions like that.
Yeah, which I don't think people are asking about Back in Action 2.
No, even though it's teased at the end of this movie.
I know. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine. Do Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz have chemistry and are clearly stars? Yes. Is there anything remarkable about this film? No. Can you do your laundry to it? Yeah. Should you have expected more? No. Are we still in this world where streaming spy films are no good? Yes. And that was what sort of the bitter taste it left in its mouth is, in my mouth, I should say, is that like it never ever reaches above a 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's being generous. Like it has no aspiration to be anything outside the box. It is completely paint by number stuff, but it fortunately has the star wattage of Diaz and Foxx going for it to keep it afloat. Other than that, unremarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I didn't hate this movie. Like, maybe people were tuning in.
I laughed a couple of times. Like, it was,
Yeah, like when Jamie Foxx said, like, they're like born, but we remember stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of this very muttered off. It may have been like an ad lib. Like it felt like a Jamie Foxx just like tossed off kind of mumbled joke that got a laugh out of me. That may have been the only laugh I got in the movie, honestly.
The binoculars gag made me laugh.
Oh, that didn't work for me.
Where the second pair came out, I was like, oh right, yeah, okay.
But
duplication.
The thing about this movie is it's thoroughly unexceptional in every level. Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz are pretty charming together. They've been better in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been better together in other movies.
Sure.
So I haven't seen Annie. Maybe they're great together. I don't know. But, Any Given Sunday, pretty darn good movie. The, action in this movie is serviceable. I realize we've gotten to a point now, I think, where probably the kind of the effect of the John Wick stunt team have basically... obviously they've made a cottage industry about putting together really effective action in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has kind of filtered into other avenues where other companies have popped up where you can take two professional actors like Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz, give them action, set something up that is not exhilarating or exciting, but is serviceable. It's not embarrassing. And you go back to...
And looks okay on screen. Like it looks believable on screen. Yeah.
Looks fine. It's not like the old days where you would see like a spy comedy from the 80s where the action was probably not fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like this stuff is totally serviceable. So it's kind of like it hits all the beats it has to do to qualify as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find myself questioning by the end, like, is this better or worse than The Union? And I don't really know.
I think I got more out of this than The Union. Personally,
I think I might have liked The Union a little more because at least that had a concept, like the whole idea of these blue-collar spies and everything is done in this kind of union-based way. Like I thought that was kind of like an imaginative wrinkle to a spy film. It wasn't really delivered in a way that was particularly, momentous in any way, and it definitely didn't inspire any, desire for a sequel, but at least it was something. Whereas like here I'm like, what is the hook here that I'm supposed to be like finding interesting?
Well, I think that's some of the biggest disappointments for me is like the main hook of this film. It's in the title. Is the spies are back in action.
Yeah.
Right. But they haven't missed a step.
No.
They're completely invulnerable. Like, wouldn't it have been more interesting if they were forced into a position where they had to do spy work again, or this is more like field agent work, let's call it what it is, where they're rusty and they're making mistakes and there's peril.
And maybe the technology has advanced past where they were. Like, the thing is, what the technology they were dealing with, I think 15 years before they're called back into action, is all, like, gone now. And they have to deal with, like, new threats that they don't understand, that don't fit into the world that they were inhabiting before.
15 years ago, we were just getting an iPhone for the first time, and the idea of touch screens were blowing our mind.
Yeah.
Some of us were still using Blackberries. Very different.
But, like, this movie just goes with, like, the laziest MacGuffin possible, the key, which just basically allows you to turn the power off of cities. But, I mean...
Which is the same as the heart, or whatever it was called in Heart of Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Turn up in a bunch of films.
So there's no real sense of, like, people that are, on the back step. You look at Skyfall, and they're like, Bond, you've lost a step. And you see Bond, like, struggle in that movie in some ways. Like, he's injured.
He doesn't shot.
Yeah. Doesn't have what he used to have and has to try to get that back. Here, I'm, like, watching two people who, look incredible. They're in their 50s. They look incredible. Multiple characters acknowledge how good they look still, which I thought was kind of shameless. Felt very much like vanity vehicle kind of stuff you see. But it's like there's no sense of, like, these are people who've become parents and maybe, like, haven't hit the gym as much as they used to.
Yep.
That's not the case. We have scenes where, like, right off the top, there's, they get involved in, like, some action, briefly. And it has the two of them in their bedroom, like, performing martial arts on each other. And they're, like, in incredible shape, doing, moves that you have to practice to be able to do effectively. But it's clear these people have kept up to date.
Yeah, I think there was a lot left on the table with the concept. Like, you could have worked it further to them being behind the 8 ball, and maybe having the kids having the know-how of modern technology helping them and synthesizing between the group of them to create a better team. Like that, but that is also Spy Kids.
That is also true, which really empowers the kids, whereas here, I guess the son sort of gets empowered. We learn that spy skills are genetically passed down.
Apparently, which explains us and why we have none.
Yeah, thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, jeez. I think the real failing for me with this one is it doesn't feel like it has any aspirations to be anything more.
No.
Like, I can forgive a film that takes a swing and misses more than I can forgive a film that is very comfortably sitting in the sort of bell curve. Like, this is straight down the middle, doesn't want to offend anyone, isn't pushing any boundaries. It's using all of the tropes and lazily, and it is not trying to be anything more than the sum of its parts. And you could say, okay, that actually is the perfect formula for a Netflix film. Like, it would play to everyone. Great. But that's like, it's empty calories, man. Like, where is... people listen to this show because they want to hear our thoughts on the film, which is what we're doing. But, like, what's the drive for people to watch this film? What's in it for anyone to get out of it? And when you've watched it, does it leave you with anything to talk about? Like, I've got notes here, but the idea of doing an hour and a half on this film gives me a migraine.
Well, it's like, doesn't it benefit Netflix to make a movie people are talking about? And, I mean, I don't know, like, word of mouth is something that theatrical distributors have found very helpful. And don't you want to make something that people are, like, talking about around the water cooler, if people still have water coolers at work, or if they're even going to an office anymore? But, like, that's the kind of thing you want. A lot of TV shows obviously build massive momentum that way. Game of Thrones is the one that most recently pops to mind. I'm sure there's something else on the air now that people are doing that.
Severance would be the more recent thing.
Oh, good one. Severance, or
Ted Lasso, Shrinking, stuff like that.
Or I think of the show Succession as well, which had a lot of people talking. Like, don't you want to make a movie where people are saying like, you have to watch this, like check this out, and then people go, oh well, I guess I should subscribe to Netflix and watch this movie, versus like something that maybe gets a lot of views out of the gate because of its star power, but if someone asks, you're like, meh, whatever.
This is why I suggested earlier that there was Netflix interference, because it just feels like there is no vision for this film. Which is odd, knowing that the director directed and co-wrote it. It's almost like auteur-driven in a sense. Like, it's his unique vision for the film. But his unique vision for the film is plain toast.
Well, I would say that somewhat stands alongside a lot of the comedies he's made. I think he made a brilliant documentary, but when it came to his comedy films, I don't think really any of them, outside of, Horrible Bosses, stand up.
Okay. Well, let's talk about things we liked. It might be short.
Yeah.
It's good to see Cameron Diaz back in action.
It's too bad it's in this movie, but she has star power. You're like, Cameron Diaz hasn't, acted in a movie since 2014. That's over a decade. It would be easy to see an actor who comes back where they feel like they aren't sure themselves, or maybe they take a small supporting part because they're like, I don't quite know if I, have what I used to have. Years have gone by, but Cameron Diaz, like the characters in this movie, has not lost a step.
Nope. She knows that she is powerful. She has appeal to her. She's leaning into that, and she's leaning into the comedy of it too. Like, it's like seeing her in Night and Day, which is one of my favorite Cameron Diaz films. I like Charlie's Angels too, but I think Night and Day is better than people remember. And she's still got it. Whatever it is, she still draws you into the screen.
Yeah, and this is a movie where most of the humor isn't very funny that's written for her. It's a lot of like lame-o parents comedy. It's like
boomer jokes.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what can these two squares get up to? And then their kids can be like, oh, you're so lame.
Hey, stop defining our podcast.
But, like Cameron Diaz is given like a lot of lines that are, they land with a thud in terms of what the actual joke is, but she's really good at delivering just about any joke you give her. It's just that the the level of jokes doesn't match what she's able to give it, or put what kind of spin she's able to put on it. And that goes Jamie Foxx as well. Like, I've seen Jamie Foxx in some pretty bad Netflix movies as well, but like he's someone who is like effortlessly charming. He has great chemistry with Cameron Diaz. You would you would think in a previous decade, having two stars like this together as a married couple of spies in a big action movie would be like money in the bank and could be really cool.
You put this out in like 1995.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, well, I think of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005. I think it was 2005. Sure. And that's a movie that's not exactly breaking the mold.
It's got its problems. But
it does. Yeah. But you have Doug Liman, who knows how to use his two stars. Like, both of them look better than they've ever looked in their entire careers. It is playing with that movie star wattage and how much fun you can have with that. And he's also saying, what if I create incredible action scenes and just have basically a fun 2-hour movie? This one is like, well, we have two megastars. We're not going to give them particularly great material, and we're going to put them in action scenes that are serviceable. And so what's the takeaway? That something like this is, not as good as Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Which is odd, because it often tries to sort of be it.
It tries it to be it a lot, yeah.
It tries to be a lot of films. It tries to be Spy Kids, but not as well. Night and Day, but not as well. And that's why I sort of said, like, it's a shame it doesn't have its own unique identity, and it doesn't wish to forge one. It's happy in its C grade,
Yeah, even the name is kind of generic.
Yeah, I think that was really sort of aiming at Cameron Diaz.
It wasn't. I saw an interview with the director, and he said that name was actually on the script before they hired anyone.
I'm calling BS on that one, Seth.
I believe it. I believe that it's generic enough that I think it definitely lines up.
Well, I guess that does sort of line up with the film. You're right. You mentioned Foxx, I mentioned Diaz. I think, and going back to the other point, I do think that some of the fight scenes were all right.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fight scene on the plane at the start, pretty well handled.
Yeah.
I mean, I could start picking up. I think the one at the American-looking petrol garage or petrol station, as we would say here, looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The petrol nozzle turned flamethrower was pretty cool.
That was actually a highlight. I kind of sat forward when I saw that petrol flamethrower. I was like, oh, that's well staged, and it was like real fire versus CG fire.
It would blow up the petrol station, by the way.
I don't care. I mean, it was. This movie is not demanding me to take a realistic lens to it, but like it was actual fire. It was not like crappy looking CG fire.
No, it felt like a real stunt. Maybe that was some of the 207 million brought to life.
That was 200 million right there.
Maybe that was the petrol they were burning just cost that much.
Sure. Yeah. The boat chase at the end looked fine as well.
It's done against a green screen, what I found a bit annoying.
Mm.
I could see that, especially knowing the Thames so well. Like, it was a shame they couldn't just shoot there.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just the sort of rigors of modern filmmaking, and probably how much it costs to have permits on the Thames wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Does Netflix have some sort of like thing going with shooting in London? Because both this and The Union were in London.
Well, it's better looking than Vancouver.
No, I agree 100%. But like the fact that they set both of them in London seems like a deliberate choice. And I couldn't really figure out why, because either movie could be set somewhere else.
Maybe we just have good tax breaks.
I'm wondering that, yeah, if that was the case.
Any more likes from you?
I actually thought Glenn Close was pretty fun in this movie.
She's doing something.
She is. And when I think of great, older British actresses, obviously Glenn Close is high on the list. Makes sense why she was cast. But nonetheless, she's having fun. And, she has like a kitchen massacre scene where I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Or just like the introduction she has, shooting down like a pheasant, very Hugo Drax-like, and then telling the kid to pick up the dead bird and saying, I'm British, we don't hug. Like, I thought she was actually a pretty fun, kind of campy character.
And it's a shame the film said that, because I've been lying to you for all these years and just constantly hugging you when I see you.
Stop it.
Now our secret's out that we shouldn't be hugging. Yeah.
And I thought her love interest, Nigel, was hit or miss, but sometimes worked.
The chap who plays that character, Jamie Demetriou,
yeah,
pretty famous here in the UK.
Oh.
For several comedy shows, one being Stath Lets Flats, which is a show I can't stand. And I can't stand his particular brand of comedy.
Yeah.
It's like that awkward comedy, like
right.
the Ricky Gervais used to be quite well known for. Really doesn't do it for me. So when I saw him appear on screen, I shuddered a little bit. I was a bit like, oh God, here we go. And he won me over a little bit by the end. But he really didn't work for me. But I think that's more of a personal thing with his form of comedy.
I found it really hit or miss. Like, sometimes he was really grating, but then there were some fun moments where, like, you could see the real sincerity of that character, or he would get injured in a funny way, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that was actually handled pretty well. I felt like that scene at the end, where he's like in the car and he runs down the hacker character.
Yeah.
That felt a lot like the movie Die Hard, where you have Argyle, the limo driver, and then the hacker comes out just randomly.
Oh yeah.
And he runs them down. I was like, is this just basically ripping off Die Hard? Because the fact it was a hacker character in both cases getting into a vehicle that the driver had to hit.
Are you saying that Back in Action is creatively bankrupt?
I may be saying that.
Revelation.
I wasn't a fan of him messing around on the computer trying to like raise the barrier. That was like
the joke got very old very quickly.
It did, yeah.
The only scene of his I quite enjoyed was that sort of bedroom scene, not what you think, folks, where he's showing his spy gadgets off, and there's the bulletproof umbrella and stuff like that.
Yes, that's true.
Which I think is a nod to the Avengers.
Okay, this movie could have had more fun with the gadget stuff.
It had no interest in it, and that's part of the problem. It's very like, you know how we said Spy Kids has a love for the spy movie franchise?
Yeah, even the fifth one.
Yeah, this is the antithesis of that. This is almost a disdain for spy movies. It's just using the tropes because it has to.
Because it's something that they can market, yeah.
Yeah, and you expect these things from a spy movie.
Mm-hmm.
One more like from me to lead us out. And that is, the film features our man, Dean Martin.
That's true, but this felt like a real lazy music choice.
I mean, I was trying to get a laugh, but boy, ain't that a kick in the head.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Agents, we don't expect you to talk. We expect you to buy a subscription to our Patreon.
Yee. That's right. Over on the Spyhards Patreon, we're covering all your favorite spy TV shows, as well as popular films from the most iconic secret agent actors of all time.
Cam, why don't you share some intel on our latest assignment?
Hey y'all, now is the perfect time to catch up on all the excitement we had going on in the month of March on the Patreon. It was Bad Movie Sequel Month, so we talked about Wild Geese 2 and X-Men The Last Stand. Plus, over on the small screen, we discussed the 2013 miniseries Spies of Warsaw, starring David Tennant. Catch up now, because April is going to be even better.
So accept your mission and help support your favorite spy movie podcast at patreon.com/spyhards.
But before we activate the fourth protocol, let's get back to the spy jigs.
Alright, dislikes time. I have a feeling this section might be slightly longer. I'm going to lead us off.
Okay.
Because I have a lot. The weirdest one this entire film has, and we haven't mentioned this actor once, and I think it's for good reason, is that they have Andrew Scott in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Playing basically his role of C from Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not think his paycheck was very big for this film, because he feels like he does not want to be there the entire time. He has one note he's playing, and he's not playing it well.
This character pissed me off. Because I just assumed this whole movie was going to be incredibly by the numbers and, not exactly rewarding my intelligence. And so I'm sitting there going like, okay, Andrew Scott's the villain because the movie keeps like spending all these scenes of him. And he's like Cameron Diaz's ex in the movie. Like pursuing them. But his partner is standing next to him, played by Fola Evans-Akingbola. And it's all these scenes of Andrew Scott basically going like, and then maybe like calling into his, office to do something in some way to pursue them. And this, partner of his giving him the side eye. Something's very suspicious about what this man is doing. So I'm sitting there going like, okay, why am I like watching this character like be dragged out as the villain? Like, we know that he's probably up to no good. That's fine. I don't care if the villain is, on the nose in a movie like this. That's fine. Just go with it. But they had the character acknowledge his behavior constantly, only to like pull the twist. He's actually on their side and he's a good guy. So why is the partner casting shade on this guy the entire movie? That doesn't make any sense.
And why was he calling like the Eastern European syndicate to do his dirty work and stuff like that?
I don't know. Like, his behavior made no sense. He was obscuring his motivations entirely for a twist that, like, when Kyle Chandler came back from the dead, I was like,
what?
Okay.
You'd be better off just sticking with Andrew Scott.
Might as well. It would have made more sense.
But now we know what C stands for.
Content?
Crap.
Oh, okay.
What about you, a dislike for us, Cam?
I've got various small things because we've talked about just how this movie
don't get into your personal business in this podcast, all right? Let's talk about the film, shall we? Keep it on track, all right?
We've already acknowledged this movie is not trying. It's just middle of the road stuff. So I could just pound that nail for a while, but why bother? Let's talk about some things that maybe stood out that are smaller. Number one, the plane crash at the start of the movie looked like garbage. This was like an homage to Die Another Day's CG action scenes.
Sure. The parachute specifically looked pretty bad.
It reminded me of The Gray Man with its plane sequence at the start of that. Like, I've really come to narrow in on Netflix movies having horrible CG vehicle crashes. Because you got The Gray Man, you got this. And there's another movie that I'm not going to name because it's kind of a spoiler, but this is a big prestige film that a lot of people are watching on Netflix that has a similar scene. And when I saw that, also, I was like, what the hell is this? It looks like a cartoon.
Was this a film that came out around about Christmas time?
I am not going to confirm or deny.
Does it star a certain spy?
Not going to confirm or deny.
Okay. I guess I can't egg you on.
What?
We might be talking about different films.
I think we are, so let's just let that one sit there.
Okay. Can you figure that one out, folks? I can't.
Look, people, if you can't do, car crashes properly or vehicle crashes, why make them look this terrible?
Which is even more baffling given 207 million.
Yeah, inexplicable. The other note I had, another one, was that you mentioned Dean Martin, and this movie has really lazy song choices.
Oh,
really lazy.
Don't even get me started. The film opens with a track off of The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Now, it's said to have been in 2010.
Yes.
That's not when that album came out.
That's the late 90s.
Yeah. Good album. I'd recommend you all listen to it, but it didn't come out in 2010. Lauryn Hill has vanished by 2010.
Yeah, and then, we mentioned Dean Martin, which I believe they use that same music cue in Mission Impossible. And I think it was Ghost Protocol, maybe? When he's breaking out of the prison?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because he kicks him at one point, and it's ain't had a kick in the head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Late in the movie, too, they pull out the James Brown, Papa's Got a Brand New Bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've heard this in lots of action movies before. Like, it just felt like there was no inspiration. This was, Seth Gordon is clearly not like the second coming of Tarantino in terms of music choices.
Oh.
Because it was like, oh my God. I guess like Salt and Pepper's Push, it felt positively, standout in comparison to a lot of the other choices. I mean, I guess it is something that they would be listening to, given their ages, that would have fallen within their like 20s.
Well, that was something I was going to bring up at the end, but you sort of segued in it now, because especially early on, before the children seem to come around on their parents, the parents, Jamie Foxx and Catherine Diaz,
That's right,
are referred to as boomers.
Yeah.
Now, I think in terms of date of birth, that is correct in terms of those age categories.
I think they'd be Gen X.
I think they've got about 10 years on you, mate.
Yeah, but I think they'd be if Jamie Foxx is older, I don't know if he's supposed to be. I think he's like 55.
Right.
I think that's Gen X.
Okay. Well, I suppose more like the question I'm getting to is not, is this the right category? It's more like, is that who this film is actually aimed at? The boomers.
Well, I'm not sure if the boomer thing was supposed to be accurate. I think that may have just been because it was like a snotty teen character who was like calling them that.
Well, I just mean like a lot of this felt, because in a different film, say like something like Spy Kids, which I didn't think I'd ever be like bringing up Spy Kids in a positive note, but I suppose the first film is on the knock list.
Yeah.
It's like the Spy Kids films give the kids the agency to grow, and they give equal time to a lot of the characters. This film, despite wanting to have the family, is more interested in the parents saving the day. And when I hear that, the Taken alarm goes off in my head.
Yeah.
Which is a really annoying kind of sounding alarm. Like it just, it's like you got tinnitus. Because that's all about dad saving the day. And this sort of like rah, rah, sis, boom, rah, kind of like America wins the day sort of thing, all about that built into it too.
Yeah.
And this felt the same. And like the Taken audience, much as Taken films all did quite well in theaters, the real audience of those films is sort of the older gentleman, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's who this is built for too.
Well, I was thinking about that myself, actually, because this movie felt like it was written by lame parents.
Yeah.
Like, this whole movie is like, oh, aren't they lame now that they have kids? But it's like, this movie feels like it was written by lame parents who have no concept of kind of what's interesting or cool nowadays at all. That's what it felt like. But then I kept thinking about this movie in The Union, And it's like, these are both movies with movie star muscle behind them, but they're older movie stars now.
Yeah.
And are these designed to get older audience members who are at home who remember seeing these stars, whether it's, the two in this movie or Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, watching their movies when, those stars were in their 20s and 30s?
I have to think that's what it is, because only a lame parent would write it, that the kids just come around and instantly love their parents again. That's not the sort of nuance that would happen in reality. I'm not saying this needs to be reality, but if you have a film that's about the family unit, maybe talk about that dynamic some more.
Well, and also there's this whole element of the movie that's basically mothers and daughters not getting along as, daughters mature. That stuff is complete hand-waved. They acknowledge it once or twice, but it is not explored in any depth whatsoever.
No.
And I would argue there's actually more depth in terms of the kids' individual storylines and, maturation in Spy Kids 1, a movie aimed at children, than what's going on in this movie, which is not aimed at children. This is aimed at, adults primarily. And maybe, I don't even know if I'd say teenagers would watch this, but I'd say mostly adults. And it's very simplistic, slapdash kind of storytelling that would not entertain adults. I can't imagine.
Well, I think it would entertain the exact adults we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
They turn up at the nightclub that they're in at the start and save the day.
Yeah.
Parents know best. I mean, the fact that the girl is allowed to hang out with the kid with no mustache at the end, despite him having taken her to that nightclub, blows my little mind.
Yeah.
Bad parenting there. But yeah, it just... This feels like a film that's made for people that aren't us, which is fine. But I don't feel like it's made for basically almost anyone that would be... I take it back, 46 million or whatever it is you said. Who has Netflix nowadays?
That's people clicking play.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. They could watch 10 minutes of this thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's machine tooled for a specific audience, and that is the Taken fans.
I feel like there is internal research done at Netflix that basically is telling them what has to go into a movie like this. And, the Union has the same kind of thing. Heart of Stone has this kind of thing. And it's if you hit these beats, people will accept it for what it is. Because the thing is, none of these movies are horrendous.
No?
We have talked about movies that are just complete debacles, train wrecks on this podcast.
Well, Spy Kids 5 is pretty bad.
Spy Kids 5 is pretty bad. But that's also Rodriguez doing his own thing and just clearly losing kind of touch in terms of
reality,
what works. Yeah. That's very, very, very creator driven. But a lot of these movies feel like they are kind of checking boxes, and because they do so, they'll never be deemed unwatchable. They'll just be deemed baseline watchable.
Uninteresting, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you know what? They can crank out another one in 6 months with 2 other stars in, similar action scenarios, slap the spy, kind of tag on it, and be like, hey, here's another big one, starring stars you recognize. You're going to click play on it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if I have any dislikes I wanted to bring up. I think some of the CG looked pretty wonky, but we did mention that, and we wonder where the budget went.
Yeah.
There's a de-aging effect in the first 10 minutes of the film that's pretty, X-Men 3, The Last Stand.
Were they de-aged?
Cameron Diaz was.
Was she? Okay.
There was a filter on her face.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was just makeup or not or whatever.
No, they did something. I can't say about Jamie, but Cameron, it was quite obvious, unfortunately. I'm not judging. That's what films do now. They touch everyone up. It's just sometimes it looks better than others.
I require makeup and CG just to do a podcast that is audio.
This is why it's audio, folks.
That's right.
And I would just say, it's much like I don't want this episode to run much longer. This film does not need to be 2 hours.
No, I think a lot of these Netflix movies have actually been too long.
Yeah, this could have been 90, maybe 100 minutes.
What do you gain out of it being half an hour longer? If this thing's 90 minutes,
no, I
people
tell
will
you,
watch it.
it's easy. It's eyeballs.
I guess.
You're keeping people in the Netflix app for longer.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So they can say, they watched a 2-hour film. They stayed here for 2 hours, not for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that is. I mean, we could sit here for another half hour and be like, oh yeah, this film was stretched out. This is why. I'm not going to stretch your time out, folks. I'd rather you get that time back. So let's go to final notes. Firstly, I think it'd be fun to sort of mention. Maybe we'll put a couple of pictures up during the week. A lot of the sites of London, were a day me and you spent out together.
I noticed that. Yeah, it was cool to see those locations.
Yeah, so we one of the days Cam came here last year, I think it was at this point, or the year before now.
It's all a blur.
It does feel like that. I think it was about a year and a half ago now.
2023.
Yeah,
in September.
So, there you go. We did a visit to sort of the South Bank. We went to the Tate Modern. I went to St. Paul's Cathedral as well that day. Went over the bridges around there. Saw some sights. But, a whole sequence takes place in the Tate Modern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not an art gallery fan, and Cam got to see that in first person.
Scott was probably less enthusiastic walking around the Tate Modern than he was watching this movie.
Only just. Only just. Not a thing for me. Cam seemed to enjoy it though, but we, ended up seeing play at the Globe afterwards as well.
Yeah, we went to Macbeth, yeah.
Yeah, which is just up the street from the Tate Modern.
Yeah.
So yeah, lovely day. But there's also some back roads they walked around and some bridges they drove over that were all things that we walked across that day. So it was just nice to have sort of a visual representation of Cam's day out with Scott. It's just a shame it's back in action.
Yeah, no kidding. There's our Valentine.
Oh, there it is. I've got a question I think it might be good to end on, but do you have any other notes?
A couple things. The Diet Coke and Mentos bomb. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done the Diet Coke and Mentos?
No, I have carpets in my house.
I've never done it. My friend actually did it with his daughter the other day, and he sent me the video.
Like, it works. It's not like
I know it works. I'm just like, why have I not done this?
Oh, really? You want to do it?
Yeah, why not?
Because I've seen it happen in the video. Like, what do I need to? Why do I need to ruin the Diet Coke I just bought just to prove the video works?
To experience it firsthand? I don't know.
I honestly, I have no idea why anyone would do that.
I will say this: we are always hoping that a spy movie will do something we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen this.
Well, it's weird that they do that and put a Diet Coke bottle and a Mentos next to each other and they don't use it.
What?
So they use it in the film?
Yeah, it's like a big showpiece.
When?
They throw it in the front seat of a car and the car goes through over a ramp and it's a massive explosion.
Oh, that's why I was looking at my phone.
Oh, wow.
I saw the car go over. I was like, I wonder why I did that. Because they set it up before. They set it with the bottle and the Mentos. Oh, there you go. That's the payoff. I was going to say, because it was very weird they set it up and then didn't use it. It's just because I didn't see it.
Folks, I watched every second of this movie. Attention 100% on the film.
I feel like I've let you all down. I apologize. I just think I knew it was like a drivey shooty scene, and I'd seen them shoot and drive a couple of cars already. I thought I could look at my phone for this moment in time.
That's fair.
Let's all pretend it was an emergency and I had to deal with something. Do you feel better now?
I do. Yeah.
It wasn't. I was probably ordering lunch.
I thought the whole bit where they went to visit Glenn Close and the movie kind of hits this lull felt a lot like they were kind of ripping off the template of Bourne, where you're on the run the whole movie, and then he goes to the farmhouse for a period of time with Marie's friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I feel like they were watching Bourne and just kind of going like, how do we make a spy movie? Okay, we'll just follow those beats.
Just try to think if any of the other beats work.
Not really. Not in this movie.
No. I guess the last fight's in a house. This is at the Tate Modern and on the river. Maybe it was following Triple X for its final scene.
I mean, it felt like it with Yorgi's boat explosion, which was probably more and I didn't even like that, but it was probably more satisfying than this, where they're like, Kyle Chandler is still alive?
Yeah, I can't wait for that sequel.
Which will never happen. The other and final note I had was, when they are hacking the daughter's laptop, the password is Mom Sucks.
Yeah.
And I just want the world to know, if you ever need to hack into my computer, it's Scott Sucks.
Is it with a Z at the end?
Of course. A Z. You mean an X?
What, for sucks?
Yeah.
I guess. Wait, so I'm giving your password away, you loser.
Well, in this it was MOMSUX.
Oh, I guess it was. Oh, yeah, it was spelt wrong, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so it's Scott SUX.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, at least buy me dinner first. Jeez. I said I was going to save a question for the end, but like you just casually answered it, which was like, is there any chance of this ever getting a sequel?
$200 million and this? I mean, they teased like
highest film watched or whatever since blah.
Yeah, have you seen a sequel to the Adam Project?
Is it the Adams Project Values?
I would say if that was their most watched ever, and that hasn't gotten a sequel, this isn't getting a sequel either. It's just like no one cares about it. It's got lousy reviews. I just don't know that this is something that's going to be worthy of another $200 million price tag. And for what, to pay off who Cameron Diaz's father is? Whatever.
Who are you casting in that role?
I feel like it's not going to be Inspired. Because, like, Glenn Close...
It's British. They'll be British.
Well, Glenn Close isn't British.
She is in this film.
She is in this film. Yeah. Wait, why does it have to be British? It couldn't be someone from...
I guess not.
It could be like a CIA agent.
Yeah, she said she didn't like Americans, though.
That's true.
And she worked for MI6, so, like, I guess keeping it in the family makes more sense?
I guess. Yeah. Who's an older British actor who they would cast in that kind of role? They'd probably just like want to get someone like Pierce Brosnan or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, God, I don't want to ever see that, but yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Like, because it's lazy, right?
Because then they can be like, Bond knocked her up. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that's the joke, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Pierce Brosnan's taking that call?
Maybe. I'm not going to rule it out.
Well, after
money's money.
Black Adam, I suppose it's a bit more all to play for.
Although I'll give him a pass on Black Adam because I'm sure he's like, oh, this could like lead into, interesting spin-offs or something, and it just didn't work.
No, that's what I mean. It didn't. So like, he needs more work now, I suppose is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't fault him or Harrison Ford for showing up in Brave New World. Like, I kind of get it.
Yeah. It's a different type of film they've ever been in before. So yeah. I've all of my problems with Captain America: Brave New World are not Harrison Ford.
No, not at all.
He's doing what he was paid to do.
And Brosnan is the best part of Black Adam. So there you go.
There you go, folks. Stick to the older actors because the new ones are all shite.
And you won't be seeing Black Adam on the Patreon.
You won't. He's what was that tweet The Rock put out?
Where he said he was in control of the DC universe?
Like the status of the DC universe was about to change or something like that. Or the paradigm shift or something. It was like such a pretentious tweet he put out.
Yeah.
But I was so glad that it failed.
It was hilarious when it did.
Yeah. I mean, bless his cotton socks. Actually getting like Henry Cavill to come back to the role, like, yeah. It was primed to fail.
And that was Henry Cavill's last appearance in the DC film universe, and Gal Gadot was in
The Flash.
No, it wasn't The Flash. Oh, it was in The Flash. I was thinking Shazam too, but you're right, it was The Flash.
What a legacy.
Oof. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. What was it? What was the other one? Shazam 2 and The Flash. Two very non-controversial films starring non-controversial people.
Right.
Speaking of people I wouldn't want to go to a party with, those two. Okay. This knock list question feels almost as redundant as Back in Action. But let's answer it anyway. Cam, knock list? Yay? Nay?
Big nay. But I do hold out hope that at some point we get a streaming film, whether it's Netflix, Apple, Amazon, something that like literally blows our socks off, where we're like, this is awesome. This is a movie you couldn't get put on a big screen nowadays. They made it on a streaming service and it works. Like something like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I don't know if that movie goes to theaters nowadays. But like it would be really cool if something like, Amazon Prime made a movie like that or something. Today's not the day though.
Today is not that day. You and I are in search constantly of good streaming spy movies, and yeah.
Yeah.
We're still looking. We'll still be in action. Just it wasn't this time. So it's a no from me. 2 no's. Shame, really, given the cast. You'd think this might have been more.
I hope this doesn't scare Cameron Diaz back into retirement.
Oh God, can you imagine? Like this gives us a chance of getting Charlie's Angels 3.
Or just something interesting with her, because like she's a very talented actor.
Oh,
I'd like to see her show up in other films. Now that maybe I don't know how old her kid is, but like it would be cool to see her back in something interesting. Like she was in Gangs in New York, with Scorsese directing. Like she did some interesting movies in addition to like the comedies and the action films and stuff like that. I'd like to see her back out there, but she was actually really good in Any Given Sunday. And I actually give her some points for really swinging wildly in The Counselor. I don't think it really connects, but she tries things. So hopefully we get to see her try something interesting instead of this being kind of the capstone.
I think when she saw the check for this film, given the budget was 207,
yeah,
she's like, oh, maybe I could do some more. I need a fifth house.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want to like end this on like a negative note. I'm sure there is a chance we can finally get a streaming spy movie that works, but I think they just need to get some people, like creatives behind it that are passionate about spy movies, because I haven't felt that. I don't feel like the people who made The Union particularly cared. I don't think like the people who made Ghosted particularly cared. They were just trying to make content.
And they're just boring MacGuffin chases with action scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, like just aspire to be something slightly more. I don't know. What do I know? We've just been talking about spy movies for 5 years.
That's true. We're not the audience for this movie.
No, we don't have kids.
Yeah.
Or our spies. Well, 2 no's, and as such, Back in Action is not making the knock list. The dossier on the film is complete and filed as classified. I do need to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this film in contention for another list?
No. It that would require that they like
it had a pulse.
Yeah, that it drew an extreme reaction from me.
Yeah,
and it didn't. It's just bland.
This is the McDonald's of spy movies.
Yeah, like I think I disliked some other ones more than this one in terms of streaming films. So yeah.
Okay, well I had to ask. Well, that moves us on from all things Cameron Diaz. I guess that's our 3rd Cameron Diaz film now.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Does that mean I suppose, is she eligible for our Patreon shows?
I think we may have already tackled her on something, but I don't
think
remember
we
what
did something about Mary.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
I don't know if she was the Spy Connection though.
She was. Yes.
Okay, well then, look, if you want more Cameron Diaz action from us, head on over to the Patreon. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but the big question to answer, Cameron Smith. What are we talking about next week?
Scott, it's time to go back to the days when Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz were just kids with dreams of stardom in their eyes. We're going to look at the 1985 film Target, starring the late, great Gene Hackman.
Oh, Target. Last time Gene Hackman was on the show, was that the package?
On the main feed, yes, but we did do the French Connection in the Patreon.
Of course, a Christmas film, allegedly.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, we did Superman 2 relatively recently as well.
Oh, yeah. And he's great as Lex Luthor in that.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. Miss Tessmacher! Sorry, I had to get that in. Why not? And, well, I've not seen this film, and it's coming from that sort of weird chapter in Gene Hackman's career where he's doing a lot of subpar action films.
Yeah.
There's a few around here. I don't know anything about this film, apart from it being a spy movie. I think it was a late addition to our list as well. I don't think it's been there since the start. But we wanted to work an 80s film in, so I'm quite excited to see what this one is.
Yeah, I know nothing about it. I can't wait to dive in either.
And we have a special guest joining us as well, so it could be quite the exciting affair. So join us next week as we head back to the 1985 to hang out with Gene Hackman and tackle Target. Or Target tackle.
We'll see if it hits the bullseye.
Ooh, Barracuda. Well done, Cam. Join us as we tackle Target. I mentioned the Patreon. There was an ad in the middle of the show, but other than that, we haven't spoken about it too much. If you have the spare change and you want to help support your favorite spy movie podcast, then come on over. We've got cupcakes, we've got a buffet, and you've got a literal buffet of content, that magical word that all the streaming services love to have, of extra Spyhards juiciness, injected directly into your ears for the lowest fee of about £2 per month. And you can basically, what I like to say is, spice up your podcast feed by adding us more into your rotation. If you want more, if you want us back in action more than once a week, then that's the place to go. And I mean, all jokes aside, by joining us there, you're helping support the show. You're paying for the running costs of the show. You're helping keep us on the air, because every year they whack up the prices of how much it costs for us to run this show, to record, edit, all the software we have to use. And even as we sit right now, we're not breaking even on the Patreon. So if you can help us, we'd love it if you could. We still are going to make the show for free every week. It's going to be available for you. But if you're free and you have the spare change and it won't hurt you to share or part with it, come and join us over on patreon.com/spyhards. We promise we'll make it worth your while. Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But we're going to be talking about Back in Action for as long as I can stand tweeting about it for the whole week, which probably won't be that long, but we'll see. Over on social media, at Spyhards, SPYHARDS, wherever one might social media. I did say tweet. Technically, you don't tweet anymore. And to be honest with you, I don't often reply on X much anymore because, well. But you can find me over on Blue Sky. I reply a lot faster on there, and on Instagram as well, and on our Facebook page. Quite a lot of action on there. It's not back in action, it's constantly in action, truth be told. With a lot of people talking about their favorite spy movies. So if you're a user of Facebook, if you're a user of Blue Sky, if you're a user of X, if you're a user of Instagram, if you're a user of Threads, come and find us on there and enjoy and continue the spy jinx with us. But until next time, folks, Cam and I are off to stretch, get limber, and then work on our sexual taekwondo.